Welcome to the General's Gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Company of Heroes 2. Today I have one of my favorite humans casting with me. Hello, Tenji.
Hey Callum, what's up, my boy?
And now I can already hear the salt and the tears of the Archonhawk fanboy club. Yesterday I was casted 2 games with Tightrope, and today I'm now casting with you. Blake's been sick the past few days.
Ah, but how's he doing? Is he alright?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. I saw him.
Blake might be dead then.
Well, it was yesterday at martial arts, but like I didn't really talk to him that long because he was training with someone else. So, look, he probably isn't dead.
I hope he's not.
Yeah.
He's
And now we have a cast today.
I mean, to be fair, if Jake is dead, sorry, Jake.
Blake
is dead.
Man, now the Archonhawk fanboy club is upset.
Yeah, but if Blake is dead, he's been immortalized as an emote on Twitch, so you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Lest we forget.
Like, I don't have a bucket list yet, but if I was to have one, I would already have something ticked off. Is the Tenchi Noise emote?
Yeah, right. It's nice. But
anyway.
Yeah, first time again casting Company of Heroes for me in a while. I think actually I remember like one of my very first casts was with you, and we were doing like Love Nest versus who was it now? I don't remember exactly, but it was like the Crossroads game, and it was out of the Warpaint Championship or something.
Yeah, and then you ended up meeting him, right? So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's true. First time I went over to dance, he was over there for the event in London that we went to. But so that's a lot of fun, you know. Like I made a lot of good friends here in the Company of Heroes community.
Yeah. When he says Dan, he means Stormless. For those of you that don't know his name, which is most people. But anyway, today we have a Company of Heroes 2 match. Of course, Quicksilver is going to be our Soviets, and Isildur, the scumbag, he is to blame for all of Middle-earth's woes. He is our OKW player.
Now the question is he gonna withhold throwing this game like Isildur withheld throwing the ring down into Mount Doom? Because you know how it is, guys, with playing Axes. Okay, all jokes aside. So far, he's going for a pretty standard opening, just 4 Volks, give you that staying power in the field. On the other side of things, Quicksilver going for a very early Scout Sniper Squad, so I mean, he can get the manpower drain going. That's
yeah. This is, of course, this is in the what is it called, the Relic Fall Balance preview. So the first game that I've casted on this, I played actually 3 games yesterday versus Quicksilver. I got kind of wrecked in all of them. I'm pretty out of practice. I don't really play Coh anymore, at least at a somewhat consistent basis. So Quicksilver kind of bullied me around just a little bit. He's a very, very competent player. But right now we see Isildur looking for a bit of a flank on the sniper with his Volks. Didn't quite commit to it, but instead going for a wipe on the engineers. Oh, look at that fail Volt. Oh, man.
okay,
he gets the engineers, though, but that's dishonorable seppuku. If that engineer squad got out of there without being wiped, then that's when you pull out the ceremonial katana and you just go for it.
Absolutely. I was actually a little worried that he wasn't going to get it, but a little bit of a consolation prize, you know, with that time to the flank. And the sniper's still just working their way up to 6 kills already, which, you know, is a fair amount. You can see a couple of these squads fairly low in the numbers. He's going to be forced to spend a little bit of money on that, but for now you can see Isildur is actually doing a pretty damn good job controlling both of the fuel points for quite some time, which is going to give him a little bit of an advantage in terms of the teching at least. You can see he's going straight up to the mechanized regiment headquarters already, so again, just playing it very standard to the meta, we should see a Luke hit the field once he has the fuel for it.
This is pretty standard interaction for what you would see given the sniper, is where you see very, very good manpower bleed coming out of the sniper player, in this case the Soviets, Quicksilver, and Isildur having a pretty big fuel lead, having the munitions point as well. So it sort of, it looks weird where it's like, man, why is Isildur just standing around just getting all this manpower bleed? But it's because behind this, he's already got his mechanized HQ. He's almost got enough fuel for this Panzer II. Good work by Quicksilver, though, able to cut off both of those fuel points. That'll delay that Panzer II, but it's still not very far off.
Yeah, and again, you see, you had to reinvest into that engineer squad, and you know, once more, if that ends up going down, then mines could definitely become an issue here. But for now, Isildur, he's just sort of, if you can see, looking across the board, trying to just retake control of these fuel points with his grenadiers. And with Quicksilver now fielding his first penal battalion, those guys are going to be pretty damn powerful. You know, once they start climbing in the veterancy, then they're definitely a threat to not be underestimated. I've definitely played many games where I'm like, okay, I could just run over these penals, and then I end up losing like a squad in a second or two. Feels so bad, man. Makes me so upset. Makes me rage so hard. Like nothing makes me rage more than just losing to penals outright.
Yeah, they're pretty strong. They have actually been nerfed a little bit here in the fall preview, which is nice. I believe it's their moving accuracy has been reduced. And not only that, also their sticky satchels are now locked behind the PTRS. So it's going to be a bit easier to abuse them with the 222, which isn't an option here, but the Panzer II as well will be able to kind of shove them a bit more aggressively unless they get that PTRS package upgrade. And perhaps we will see that from Quicksilver. Doesn't have any anti-tank at the moment. Doesn't have... well, actually, he does have the AT grenades. So, good foresight there by Quicksilver. He knows he's behind in fuel. He knows that he's quite vulnerable to that Panzer II, which is already being produced.
Bear in mind, though, Callum, that if he decides to go for that PTRS upgrade, he does heavily weaken his penal battalion in terms of the anti-infantry capabilities. So, you know, it's a trade-off that you need to make. Or the decision that you need to make, because there is a clear trade-off. And I really like that change about the penals now, is that, you know, there's actually a decision to be made about this, whereas in the previous versions of the game, now spanning back more than half a year, I believe, it was kind of just a no-brainer to always get the PTRSs, and they would just crush infantry, light vehicles, everything. So there's been another element to, you know, a decision to be made. But here we have it now. The Panzer II has hit the field, and the AT grenades is going to be the only defense that he has here to deal with this light armor, and it's going to be tough because you can see the squad is actually fairly low on HP.
Yeah, there was a long period of time where the conscript PTRS was so broken, and even the guard PTRS as well. So, yeah, you're right. This con squad definitely is in a bit of trouble. He's going for an Ura. It may not be worth it though, because where's the follow-up? Okay, yeah, nice AT grenade, but what's the follow-up here? At least good disengagement. The Quicksilver, he didn't have to retreat through the Panzer II.
Yeah.
If the Panzer II just went in for the kill, the cons may have actually been wiped there. But now that will keep the Panzer II out of action for some time, and that will give Quicksilver a bit more wiggle room to get his tier 3. Maybe able to get his Su-76 or perhaps even a T-70 without too much delay.
Yeah, and I kind of want to come back to that point that you make there, you know, about delaying, or rather just taking it out of action. It can be so useful to just buy time, essentially, and he's doing a pretty damn good job at that right now. The Panzer II isn't actually going to get repaired for quite some time, because you can see these Sturm Pioneers, they were forced on the full retreat all the way back home. So not only is he going to be forced to roll back that injured Luke's, but he's also, I mean, it's going to take a while for him, essentially, to get that back into action. So
yeah,
he can't utilize that shock power that he wanted to bring to the field initially. And this should give enough time for Quicksilver to be able to get an appropriate response, you know, like you pointed out. Maybe we'll see that Su-76. I wouldn't even mind a T-70 at this point. I think it could be fairly useful.
Yeah, the T-70 is definitely able to duel against the Panzer II, having that extra penetration, and there's no Shrek on the Sturm Pioneer, so it would be predominant right now. And it is the T-70, which I think is a great choice. It will force a Raketten out of Isildur. And the game is in a good spot, I would say, for Quicksilver, because the Panzer II didn't do anything. Because he caught that grenade and didn't get any damage in the process. And the sniper has hit the field. It's been on the field for some time. It's got 18 kills. And the sniper is always a long-term investment. It's does it get the manpower bleed? Does it make you win those engagements by picking off those models? Whereas if the sniper has been forced away, if it's been a bit inactive, then you know, the lost momentum can backfire.
Like another thing here as well is the fact that with going for the T-70, he gets himself a very mobile anti-infantry platform that can challenge the authority of the Panzer II. But I think it's also a great decision because he knows that with this sniper, he's constantly been putting on manpower pressure on his opponent because he's going so infantry heavy, so that the odds of a Raketten being, you know, in play aren't that great really here for Isildur. And He's in risk of perhaps losing one squad or two. But he will be able to keep that squad alive. One man left standing because he did get off the Faust, mind you. So the T-70 can't just give chase hit just yet. Scout Sniper down to only a single member as well. So both of these players need to be a little bit careful with how they stay in these engagements. But for now, again, I think Isildur is going to be able to come on out ahead.
Isildur actually has the armor bulletin. Oh, well, never mind. I thought he just wiped the sniper there for a moment. No, the sniper backed away, got healed up. Yeah, 5% extra armor, so that will make a pretty big difference against the T-70, but it won't be enough for the Panzer II to win the fight, but it should give it a bit more breathing room if it gets caught out of position.
I mean, for now, Callum, both of these players, it's always just about finding the right points of contention, and then from there applying the right amounts of pressure. Mainly, the focal point is around the mid VP for now, and has been for a little bit. T-70 comes on in, shot bounces, and he's going to just back out of there. Remember, he does have a few of these Volk squads on all sides, with those Panzerfausts available, and he's also dropped down a couple of mines, Isildur that is. He's actually been very active with this. He has forced the sweepers here on the engineers.
Something that Quicksilver's done
otherwise.
Quicksilver's been very behind in his mine placement, and really the reason is for that. He lost his engineer squad earlier. He only had one engineer squad for most of this game, and it gets a lot harder to plant mines when you're trying to sweep for mines, when you're trying to repair the T-70 now in this case. So losing the engineer, it's a lot more than just the sheer cost of X amount of manpower. It's the lost potential of what you can drop, especially with the engineers, where then you have the demo charges as well, which are very lethal. And
yeah, it's
you know,
true.
then you can't go flamer, so then it's going to make you struggle.
And on top of that, like you lose the whatever early experience they gain as well. So, and that is something that's really important, you know, for the repair speed on all sides, really.
Yeah. So it is finally the Raketten for Isildur. It's a little bit hard to save up for that Raketten when you're getting bled so much by the manpower. Map control still been pretty even thus far. No one's really lost any squads. So it's a pretty even game, apart from a slight VP lead on the side of Isildur, and no commander's been locked in either. So we're still in that stage of the game where it really could swing either way.
And you know, remember now that with this the patch that we're playing, well, as this game is being played in, you can't just go for the mad call-in meta again. It's there's been a little bit of a refocus in this regard, where you need to go for your higher tech in order to make, you know, the call-in tanks economically feasible, I'd say. Because right now, like, if you look at the cost for some of these vehicles, for instance, I was looking through the patch notes before this game, just very quickly, and the Pershing, for instance, was like 760 manpower, 290 fuel, and same goes for, you know, all of the Soviet call-ins, the German call-ins, on all sides, really. So it's a lot more expensive now, so you can't really play in the same way to just, you know, stall for the fuel and the command points and then just call in a really big powerhouse. You need to actually spend some more time in teching, which I think is a really nice change here for the meta game.
Yeah, it makes map control more important, and you can't come back as easily by getting those call in. Look at this T-70. This could be in trouble. It hit a Faust, and the Raketten is setting up. Is it within range? Looks like the T-70 is able to back away. The sniper should be giving vision, revealing the Raketten, and looks like the Raketten just can't get within range.
So annoying, man. I hate that about the Raketten, like the setup time is whenever it starts pursuing vehicles, it sets up and then it has a few seconds before it can actually get the shot off. In that little time, a crucial window, most of the time the tanks can just roll away like we saw there, so a little bit frustrating that for Isildur to not get the kill confirmed on that one, because it would give his Panzer II free reign on the field, essentially, but still, again, you know, we have the same situation, except it's just been thrown around to the other side. That this time, with the T-70 taken out of the fight for a while, and these engineers had only bet one, you know, then the repair rate, because it is a light vehicle, is going to be, it's not going to be too bad. It would have been much nicer there, you know, to have retained that first squad. Demo charge, by the way, on this point here.
Yeah, good. The Volks are very spaced out. I doubt he'll use it. No, that'd be a bit too greedy if he tried to demo it there. So, still good pressure from Isildur. A lot of manpower on the board here for Quicksilver. He has a few options. Maybe worth going for a fuel cache at this stage. He's not too far off going for his tier 4. And having enough fuel to go multiple T-34s could be a good idea. Maybe he wants to just bank up his manpower. When you go into that late game situation and you're spamming a lot of T-34s, often you will actually run out of manpower as opposed to fuel. But it is going to be the Tier 4 struck built now, so that's a bit of manpower going down, but still 500.
By the way, we did have Isildur lock in the Special Operations Commander, and he did reveal his choice as well by throwing a few of those grenades towards the infantry in the mid. So Quicksilver knows what he's up against. And you can see that if you mouse over, the cost of the command path is 700 manpower, 280 fuel. So like I said, it's extremely expensive. But this this Panzer II, this Luke's has actually been very good at just keeping the pressure up on the infantry. And you can see he's forced the PTRSs out of that penal battalion, which is going to essentially significantly weaken the fighting power here for Quicksilver, because he's going to be using 2 cons and a single penal battalion versus the STG upgraded, decently vetted Volksgrenadiers.
It is actually a new squad, so he's built a fresh squad of penals entirely for the PTRS. So really wanting to get the PTRS in that squad, but it's going to be the T-34, the first on the field. Isildur, I think he wants to save up for his Command Panther, but he will have to pay that premium without having the Panzer headquarters. Probably not advised here.
How much does it reduce the cost by when you go?
So I know it's 230 fuel. The manpower, it's like 600 or something. So it's not a crazy amount, but it's going to basically prevent Isildur from going for a second one. If he loses that Command Panther, there's no way he gets another one. Where often with the call-ins is, unless you've been really set back because of how cheap they are without having to invest in the tech, if you lose one, by the time it goes down, you're not that far from rebuilding it.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I do like that change a lot, I have to say, because it means that, again, you know, it forces the decision-making more into the hands of the players, whereas, you know, oh, I was a bit clumsy, I lost it, can just reinvest. Now, actually a pretty big engagement going down in the middle of the map here. Panzer II is going to get snared, as across the board, both players are going to be forced to pull players out, or squads out, and again, getting a few tags there with those PTRSs. T-34 has now hit the field. Isildur, though, very well timed with his second Raketten, so I feel as if he's quite well prepared for this. This could be a little bit of a conundrum, though, walking straight into a demo charge here, Callum.
Rip. It's actually pretty spread out, but gets the wipe anyway. Feels bad, man. Now, this is definitely a T-34 76. They've actually changed it. There's 2 models now for the 76, and it alternates between them. It looks like the 85 because of it has the cargo on the back of it. But definitely a 76. It has been revealed now that the Panzer II backed away. It was a little bit vulnerable there to being dived by this T-34, but Quicksilver, I think, being scared of mines, which he certainly had good reason to, because there is a mine on this road.
Well, he's got the T-70 capping the VP to the right-hand side, so he's making good use of that, you know, it's half HP as well. Can't really commit that one into the fight now, but especially so with 2 Rakettens on the field. But he's going to start tagging this T-34 a little bit, putting some pressure on. Losing that Volk squad that did have the upgrade in the STGs and was also Veteran C3, I believe. Bit of a painful loss here, but still, Isildur, he's got a fair amount of resources to work with, and like you said, he's probably just going to be waiting for that Command Panther. Now, it's all going to come down to how we can retain that one. If he ends up losing it, you know, that's going to be the game, because Quicksilver is very rapidly coming up towards another T-34.
Now, it looked like he was a sick flank there with the MG. He actually had vision on the MG because his T-70 was on the capture mode, which is also bundled into the recon mode. So he actually knew where that MG was. Part of why light vehicles are so powerful, not just the raw damage that they present, but also the recon ability that they have. Can be a good way of keeping the T-70 relevant, is once it kind of falls off a bit as far as damage, you can still keep it around to capture points, provide vision, and make sure you don't get caught out of position.
Exactly, and it's so it's, you know, good on him to keep that alive. Now, not really anything here to force that back. Again, though, rolling forwards with this Vet 1 Raketten in stealth, he's going to be able to get another tag onto that T-34. And with that half HP, I mean, all of the armor on the field here for our allied player is actually fairly weakened, so he can't really make a big power play with this, you know, going for a crazy flank or anything like that. And you can see here that with all of this, Isildur, knowing that he has a little bit of an opportunity, perhaps, is inching forward very slowly here with his support weapons, but he needs to be careful to not overextend.
This Command Panther would have already arrived had this been in the live build of Coh2. And without this, these Volks Grenadiers are being bled so much manpower from the T-34 and from the T-70, which then continues to delay the Command Panther even further. So it's not just the raw resource cost increase. You also got to factor in how much more resources you will lose in manpower bleed because you don't have that presence of vehicles. So there is a lot of consequences of these changes, which I think is good for the most part.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Honestly, though, to a certain degree, I wouldn't even mind to see him just go for that tier 4 and then go for like a Panzer 4 because he's got the double Raketen.
Look at the south.
Oh, nice. They do get the wipe on the conscripts there. Veterancy 2 conscripts, mind you. I mean, all of the conscripts have actually died, so you can see here that Quicksilver is only playing with triple penals at this point.
Well, he has one squad left, the Vet 3 squad. So that'll be helpful for his AT grenades.
Oh yeah, no, never mind, you're right. I mixed those up. They look so similar to me for a second.
They do. They both have like the crossing rifles.
Yeah, and the little sleeping thing, whatever it is. But T-34 rolling forward is going to get tagged up yet again here by these Raketens. That is like the power play with them, right? Because they're stealth, so it's hard to avoid them at all times.
Oh, look at this
pathing. Does not get the third connection.
That surprised me. He didn't get the third shot off, and also almost got the Faust, so that could have been quite dangerous.
Oh, he's committing to this, though. He's a negative cover in the open. And the sniper's there. If he can get the last shot off, that would actually be devastating here, and he does.
He gets it. That was a little bit greedy there from Isildur, and I think that wasn't intentional either.
He
no way he wouldn't go that deep. Command Panther has hit the field, but he's only down to 2 Volks Grenadiers. He could go in for this T-70 if this one dies. Not the end of the world.
Well,
Raketen's somehow missing. You can't get a nade off here, so it's a Vet 3 as well. There really isn't much point throwing that.
A little bit of a waste of munitions there.
It's good to throw those grenades because you get a lot of veterancy when you fire those grenades or the Fausts. But when you're already Vet 3, that's why you always see it. It's just so much veterancy. Like next time you cast a game or when you play, just have a look at the veterancy bar when you throw that. It makes a huge difference. But when you're already Vet 3, it's like, okay, well, I guess it's going to be easier for me to nade you in future, but I only have one squad of cons anyway. Quicksilver, I think, definitely needs mines. He has 2 engineers, which I like, so that will allow him to put some more mines down. That being said, though, mines are generally more of a defensive thing, and when you have T-34s, that lends itself to playing aggressively. So it's a lot less likely that we'll see Isildur pull the trigger and try and go for some deep play when he has that long-range Panther with that strong frontal armor. Unless Quicksilver gets Su-85, and that's when things turn a little bit, and then the Panther has to go aggressive.
Yeah, but I mean, with the double Raketens as well, it sort of forces you to play a little bit slower in order to keep those support weapons on the flanks. So I think it makes a lot of sense for him here to just pace himself very well, take it a little bit easy, not go for any big crazy power play, because he did have he still has the advantage in the VPs. Obviously, Quicksilver is coming in a little bit here, doing a decent job at contesting that. Now, if only Isildur wouldn't end up throwing away another one of his vetted Volk squads, it would be great for him here. But he might be able to isolate this penal battalion, actually. They're very low on HP, and he's going to roll in the Panzer 2 as well, supported by a 3rd squad of infantry units here, and he will bring it down. This should be a kill. Should be a kill, come on. Okay, never mind. I guess we jinxed it.
Now the Panzer 2 actually has pretty bad far on the move accuracy, so staying it there was not a bad play, where it would be in a lot of cases with a T-70, for example. There's actually coordinated fire being used on this T-34, so he's definitely going to be zoning away the forces of Quicksilver. There's other T-34s also pretty wounded, and we do see one defensive mine.
The Storms rip. He's standing right on top of the demo. He's got the sweeper as well, so he sees it.
Oh no!
Oh, there it is.
That was revealed.
None of these players actually really reacting there. There we go. He pops it, and that's really nice move to take control of the midfield here for Isildur, because you can see he's got the AT guns, ghost capping, one in the back as well. Still retain this Panzer II up to 28 kills, Veterancy 3, and at Vet 5 he does get the suppressive fire ability, which can be very useful in a big engagement. Now, the only thing I would want to see here, Callum, would be a second squad of Stone Pioneers here with an additional sweeper to make sure that he can keep his vehicles topped and to make sure he doesn't walk into any sets of mines or demolition charges.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of pop cap left. He may need to keep that pop cap for a King Tiger. You're right that demos are definitely a problem, but he also has the repair speeds covered if he goes for the mechanized Pioneers. So I don't know if that's the best idea, especially given that he has the Panzer II, so he has pretty good recon. He knows where the engineers are if he plays aggressive with it. We actually have a Zis gun being built by Quicksilver, and an Su-85. Wow.
And he also gets a snare off here on the Panther, so he's going to be able to take that out of commission for a little bit. Which, of course, is nice. Panzer II now in the risk zone. Needs to be very careful. It will get out of that arc of fire. And should be able
He's
to
almost
get
at 5. That's crazy. But it's very good play with it. 31 kills. He's had good preservation with it. He's had very good restraint in terms of where and when he engages. A lot of times when you hit that mid-game, people just put their light vehicles in really dangerous positions, where Isildur's been using it pretty reservedly. He hasn't been using it to lead his armies. He's been kind of keeping it in reserve and then finding some harassment when he knows that a squad's out of position.
Yeah, and I really think it's going to be a very powerful tool, you know, especially so as the VPs get lower and lower in this game, that, you know, when it comes down to it, the nitty and gritty, you will see players just send out, you know, lone squads to go for those caps of desperation, and then a vetted Panzer II showing up. I mean, there's not really anything you can do to challenge that. So it's a really good use to just, a really good unit to just have, you know, in response if you need to be making quick adjustments on the field.
Especially against the sniper, and this sniper is going to continue to be a massive problem. It's a big manpower bleed.
53 kills.
Yeah, it prevents the Volks from trading well versus the penals. So if that sniper goes down, that would be a pretty big swing on Isildur's favor, and the Panzer II is the best way to kill that.
Oh, well, he pops coordinated fire. Su-85 is getting very, very low, but Command Panther on the move, not the greatest shot, loses a lot of that accuracy, is going to deflect one of those rounds on the thick frontal armor.
Bombing strike!
Of that Panther tank. Oh my god, that was actually really close. Tags a few members of that MG crew, and he's going to force everything on the retreat, the infantry coming in on the flank. Here from
Now, I don't know if that was intentional, but Isildur dodged that completely with his Raketten. He was either chasing the Su-85 or he saw the smoke and moved up north. But either way, good dodge by Isildur, didn't lose anything from that bombing strike. It's pretty expensive, but Quicksilver had the munitions banked up, so it's good to see him try to throw that one down.
And digging a little bit deep though with the T-34. Risk of losing that. So you can see again, once more in this game, all of his armor very low on HP. Demo charge on the right-hand side, munitions point not going to get detonated once again, even though he had a bit of an opportunity there to wipe that max vetted squad, which would have been very nice, you know, really hampering the anti-infantry capabilities here of Isildur, who yet again still retains, I'd say, a fairly significant advantage. He's got these Rakettens, and he might be able to take down this T-34 if he doesn't react quickly.
Oh, he gets out. Big Volk flank here looking for the sniper, but the sniper's actually cloaked, revealed himself, and now has to retreat through the Volks, but they take a nice shot from the T-34. An unsuccessful attack. That being said, the Zis gun is taking some damage. The HMG, the Panzer II is just so fast and so deadly on the move with the Vet 5.
I do like this. So we have seen Isildur use the Panther as well with a little bit of the free fire to just maximize damage, really, whenever there's not any tanks nearby. It's just a small little detail, which I think, you know, every little bit helps at this stage when it comes to fighting veteran, or vetted infantry. Now, finally, we do have a little bit of a switch up here coming out of our Axis play. It is going to be that Stukas of Fuss, which of course is going to be really useful when dealing with stuff such as this gun, cleaning up a lot of the infantry. Maybe you can catch some units on retreat. It is definitely going to add another layer of pressure here to Quicksilver, though. I
don't know if it's a really good choice, that he already has two T-34s, which can dive it pretty easily. It has got a bit of a health reduction, 160, but that isn't enough to be one-shotted. The T-34 76s only do 120 damage, but they do actually get more damage at the... is it vet? I think they get more damage at one of those veterancy levels. But whatever, maybe I'm wrong. I don't have that mod on which tells you the numbers. I really should have that. Tightrope told me off for not having it on yesterday. But the thing is with the Stuka, it's been changed a lot. So I'm glad that we're seeing it, if not just to see how it'll perform, because it has like it scatters now. It's not a precision nuke that you use to click on support weapons. This is a risky play with a T-34 blocked by the Raketans. He tried to circle it, but the Raketans out of nowhere blocked his pathing. So that's going to be a little bit frustrating there for Quicksilver.
And that's why I'm kind of okay with seeing this Stuka, because he has those two vetted Raketans. That's so powerful. He's going to try to go for the diver on the Stuka, but this T-34 now, between a rock and a hard place, these Raketans lining up the shot. If he can get this Faust off, that would actually be a really big catch here, and he's going to be able to finish this T-34. It is going to go down, but at the same time, trades out the Command Panther. And at the end of the day, I mean, considering the cost for the Command Panther, 280 fuel for the 160 of those T-34s, definitely a trade he's willing to take.
Yeah, Quicksilver had a lot of spare resources in the bank. He doesn't really need the T-34s. He has more on the way already. Stuka Barrage is coming through onto the Su-85. Wow, gets a lot of engineers and the Zisk gun as well. That was a nasty shell, and already the Stuka paying itself off. The Stuka is one of those units that you can build and it can do nothing the entire game, or it can just wreck face. So it's really hard to predict. In this case, a great start thus far. Didn't get a wipe on the engineers, but oh, I thought it wiped one squad. Yeah, didn't get a wipe. Still has 3 squads left, but a lot of manpower bleed, and of course the Zisk gun being recrewed. Nice work there by Quicksilver, but it's a lot of manpower bleed nonetheless. And the manpower bleed is important because the Su-76, the T-34 76s rather, they are very manpower heavy relative to their fuel cost. It's 80 fuel, 300 manpower. So that they have the highest manpower ratio out of any vehicle in the game, I think. I can't think of anything that tops that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's important as well to note, like, if you look at the upkeep here for Quicksilver, he's only getting 192 manpower a minute compared to the 209 of Isildur. So that is also something to take into consideration. The manpower bleed, the you know, fairly manpower heavy tanks. But the issue here for Isildur is that he doesn't actually have any mobile AT that can combat this right now. So it's all going to be about him just relying on using these Raketans. But as I say that, I mean, you can see the damage here. This Panzer II doing a little bit of damage to the side armor.
He has the fear prop, and he's using it. That's going to force the Raketans to retreat. We'll get them out of position, but maybe too late here. He didn't get out of the arc of that first Raketan. They are a little bit exposed.
So low. He's popping the propaganda artillery. He should be able to get this off. Oh my god.
Nice juke behind the house.
Yeah,
good recovery there. But nope, the tax ground, I think, was Isildur. Nice try, but didn't get it.
Way too close for comfort. The fact that he keeps that tank alive, though, is actually really important, because you can see that Quicksilver, because you look, like we said already, you know, he's really low on the manpower. Getting another tank would have been, you know, pretty tough for him there. And right now, because his opponent doesn't have any medium armor of his own on the field, you know, this is probably the best chance that he has to try to swing things back heavily. Just utilizing the sheer staying power, really, of this T-34 for now.
He actually uses the vision flares, looking for a Stuka barrage, and he is going to be going for it. I think one of those shells whiffed on the battle group. Gets a couple of penals, though. Man, the Stuka's looking pretty powerful, despite that scatter. Quicksilver as well, I also expect him to want to go for a howitzer. The howitzer is a lot cheaper manpower-wise now, due to costing fuel, which I think is an excellent change, making it a bit more viable, not costing so much manpower. And especially given that the main threat that Quicksilver has is these double Raketans, which are getting vetted now. So if he can get a nice barrage off on these Raketans, the howitzers will definitely be a very valuable tool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's very close to veteran C4 with one of those Raketans, and getting it up there would be very nice. Now, squad of these conscripts will actually get the 80 grenade off. They have equipped themselves with the PTRS as well, and being able to clean up this Panzer II would be very nice here for Isildur, because essentially it's been the equivalent of that sniper, just a constant manpower drain, a lot of map control, and being able to take that down would really help him in this infantry battle, because I think that's the one department here where I'd say Isildur still has a like he's staying fairly even in. But if he could take down this Panzer II, that would really help him in finding a pretty significant advantage, I'd say, in the infantry combat.
Quicksilver has been doing well at getting the VPs in his favour. He's ticked down Isildur a fair bit, who was ahead by a lot more than that at one stage. The sniper can't flush out these Rokettans because they're stealth, but they are definitely keeping Isildur really at base. He can't push out with his Volks unless he blobs up, and if he does, then he takes a lot of damage from the T-34s. So Isildur's really... He's being bullied around by Quicksilver. Quicksilver's in the driver's seat. He's really controlling this game, making Isildur play in his terms.
It is looking quite rough. He needs to line up these Rokettans, though, start working away on this T-34. And again, you can see they're actually doing a fair amount of damage here. One rocket away there from going down. On the right-hand side, Panzer II coming in together with a squad of infantry to support this. He needs to get control of that fuel again, because, you know, once more, he is going to be going for that Command Panther. Might be able to find himself this penal squad. That'd be really nice if he can kill that for him. To really start slowing things down. At the same time, he's pushing the center field, and he might be able to get right on top of this Su-85 as well. Not going to be able to pop the Faust, but it's not going to be required. With a long shot there from the Roketta and hitting Veteran C4. Great move here from Isildur, completely catching Quicksilver off guard in the midfield.
That range bonus at Vet 4 is so much. When you combine the cloaking with that range, it allows for such an easier time at taking away tanks. He actually had to cancel his Panzer headquarters there because he saw the T-34. Couldn't quite get the Volks wipe, but that was a very good pickup. It's going to make it a lot easier for Quicksilver to deny the fuel, as well as delaying the King Tiger.
Yeah, but remember, he's just 60 fuel off of that new Command Panther, so if you wanted to go for that, there's definitely an option, I'd say. As long as he just makes sure to control one of these fuel points at least, I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot. Now, T-34 here, not going to be able to push this squad off for now, as, again, just losing that Su-85 and that guard squad, or sorry, that penal squad is quite significant for Quicksilver. You can see he's only got 2 infantry units and the sniper at veterancy, whereas if we look at the side for Isildur, I mean, all of these units, Vet 4, Vet 2, 2, 3, double 5 squads as well, looking much better.
Oh, the sniper was so close to dying there, and that's really the number one thing that Isildur needs to kill. If he gets that sniper down, then his Volks will have a fantastic time, as Quicksilver doesn't have that many forces left. He only has the penal and the cons, other than the sniper, and the T-34s, they can get bullied around by the Rokettan if they're able to shove up with support of those Volks. And with the Su-85 down, with the penals down, the Panther doesn't have to worry so much about being engaged upon, and the Panther can dive in aggressively without the threat of the AT sticky satchels, which now they do continue to track on their target after the animation has started, where previously they had to connect the entire duration of the animation.
Oh well, Callum, we might have that big collapse though. You can see that he's dropping some of this propaganda artillery, but with a few of his units actually being forced on the retreat, don't think he's got the manpower to go for anything like that, but he is going to roll on forward with one of these T-34s. Both of the Rokettans caught on the retreat, and he's going to dive really deep here. Both of the tanks rolling on in. He's going to try to go for this Stuka, giving chase.
Wow, missed 2 shots in a row. Pretty bad luck. The Rokettans are setting up now. There goes the Stuka. Can he escape with both the T-34s in one piece? The Volks are so clumped up, but he can't use the dive bomb in his base. Doesn't have the munis either.
It's not set up. It's not set up. The one on the left-hand side. There it's going to go now, but that's very late, actually. He could have easily killed one of these tanks.
He has vision from the point. Nice, he gets the kill. I think the flak half-track actually gave him the vision he needed. So he trades one T-34 down for the Stuka. Not a very good trade as far as Isildur is concerned, but he's almost got his Command Panther diving in for the sniper. He needs this kill. He's going to run past a conscript squad and can't get the killing blow. The sniper survives once again.
The engineers with the sweeper will end up going down in all of this. Might be able to finish this Panzer II, and he will get it at the last second there with the Sysgun. Great pick off there as well, but on all across the board, trades galore here. Now the danger is going to be this Command Panther. Just needs about it's going to be another 130 manpower, and you can call that in. There's still a fair amount of tanks on the field here for Quicksilver. He's also getting a third T-34. As the VPs have definitely closed the gap, but you know, still so, Isildur retains that advantage in terms of the infantry.
He needs to focus the Zis gun with the Raketin. He needs to just attack it, blow it up, prevent it from being recapped. He may lose his chance now as a sniper. He's starting to pick away. He does have to retreat that Raketin. The Zis gun is pretty low, and it's in the middle of the map, so it's going to be very difficult for either player to capture this. The HMG is moving forward, but that's just too late now because he's set up. He couldn't get the suppression off in time, and with the suppression, it prevents you from capping. So the engineers do get that Zis gun. A little bit bad timing there by Isildur.
A new Command Panther is on the field now, though, Callum. And this is definitely going to be scary, like you said, without the Su-85. No really hyper-dedicated AT. It's going to be really tough to tackle this, especially from long range. Two of these tanks still out of commission somewhat with damaged engines. And the VP's still in the hands here of Isildur, favoring the Axis player. Because he's still got these Raketans as well. All of his support weapons still, you know, like, got really damn good veterancy. He did end up losing one of these Volk squads. And with the investment of this command tank, you can see that he's actually not going to be able to get a new squad for quite some time. But it's still going to be really tough, you know, as long as Isildur just plays this very conservatively and doesn't overextend again.
Capping that Zis gun was so important for Quicksilver. He needed a harder AT. These T-34s won't cut it on their own, but with the support of the Zis, it should be enough. But we will see one T-34 going down, or at least about to, once the Faust... No, not enough time to get the Faust off again. The T-34 will survive, and this Panther's going in. This is maybe too deep here. He's right in the field of battle for Quicksilver. He's got to flank off with the T-34 in the rear arm. This gun's setting up as well. Penals don't have any AT grenades, but this is a risky move. Conscript here with the AT grenades. The Panther, he could lose this one. AT grenade comes through. Raketans are firing. The Panther's bouncing shots, but the Zis gun gets the killing blow. Down she goes. Isildur out of armor. Oh my god, that was a bit of a ballsy move.
Yeah, I don't really think I agree with that. I mean, he's got the triple VP cap, so that's what he's playing towards here right now. But how is he going to be able to deal with all these T-34s once they get fully repaired again? I think he just he went a little bit too early, went a little bit too deep, and he's definitely going to get punished for this, Callum. I feel he's a bit of a throw.
Yeah, didn't even get a single T-34, and he didn't dive after the wounded one. The wounded T-34 was up north. He went in for the ones that were practically at full health. So, yeah, that was strange. If he pulled back and then went up north, sniped that one for free, backed off, he would have been okay here. But the game is still pretty close. The infantry advantage is favoring Isildur, and he does have these vetted Raketans, which can just burst down the T-34 so quickly. Despite the pinning, they still fire. Jeez.
These T-34s, you can see most of them still very low on HP. Have to be very careful about these Raketans. You can see on the left-hand side the VP cap with that tank. With the Raketans rolling in here, could very much risk losing that one. Vet 4, Vet 5 Raketa, not every day that you see that. Sniper's still just laying into Isildur, though. I mean, up to 89 kills at this point. Pretty nuts, man.
Yeah.
Oh, rip T-34. It's a
salute.
Hold F to pay respect.
Oh no!
Are you real? Okay.
Wow, I didn't press F. I'm sorry, Tenchi. I'm sorry. It's the thing about Raketans though. Is at Vet 0 they're just utter trash, but when they get vetted up, they're ridiculous. They're tilting around at full speed. They got a pretty crazy rate of fire, good damage, good pen, good range. It's something that I really despise about OKW's design is the level of scaling that they get with Vet 5 is just so unfair to the other squads, but at the same time, the Vet 0 equivalents are often pretty bad. Like the best example that is other than the Raketan is the Obersoldaten squad. At Vet 0, they're not very good. They're pretty expensive manpower bleed. They can get wiped pretty easily. But then at Vet 4, when they suppress squads, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's just it's a meme at that point, man. But yeah, anyway, BP is now actually still looking very close as Quicksilver. I mean, he's still contesting this. He's got the advantage of the tanks, but what is Isildur gonna do? Like at this point, and he's got a decent amount of manpower to work with, but what does he get here, Callum? A Puma?
Yeah.
Might actually not be too bad, you know, because you can see that Quicksilver is using a lot of his tanks to try to cap these VPs, and you can see that Isildur, because we've seen this like all game long, he's been really good at just laying down mines, and you know, if he can snare one of these tanks with a set of mines, supported with one of these stealth Rocketans and a Puma, he could probably end up hunting down some of these T-34s with relative ease. No?
It'll also give him good scouting for his Rocketans. Not a bad idea, just given how low Quicksilver is on VPs, only 56 remaining. So he may want to try and close this game out. Quicksilver still has a fair bit of pop cap left, can afford another tank, maybe even a KV-1.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, he's tagged the T-34 on a mine. So for right now, as you say, a Puma would have actually killed that.
Yeah, I would really like to see one of those, but for now, I mean, he's just using these tanks to cap up the entire map. And Isildur, because he's got the Rocketans only to rely on, and every single time they're on the retreat, there's nothing he can really do about that, so... I mean, I feel as if he's a little bit bare bones in terms of having, you know, an appropriate response to this, and on top of that, he can use this propaganda artillery to force them off the map again.
But it looks like Isildur is going for the Command Panther. It's just a question of will he have the time. He's got 150 VPs, but triple cap at the moment. So this could be a slow bleed to his death if he doesn't make something happen.
Yeah, like...
Oh, it's a KV-8. Wow, I thought it was a KV-1 for some reason. That's the flame tank, and that's going to be nasty for VP control.
I honestly don't think that there's anything really that Isildur can do effectively except rely on these Rocketans. But if he just rolls all of his tanks in the same direction, has sweepers in front, just completely nullify the efficiency of any mines, I don't think that there's anything that Isildur can actually do to stop this. He's in a lot of trouble right now, Callum. I think that going into the double command plant, like even the first one, I think is a fair choice, but kind of got a little bit clumsy with that. No, the second one was just a complete fuck up, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, that was. Just,
I'm not holding back here, man, on your PG-13 language or anything. That was just like pretty dumb.
It was such a good moment because all he had was T-34s. He had a Zis gun, which I mean that's okay, but one of the T-34s. Was basically dead. The other one had a damaged engine and was being repaired. So there was really only one...
And he goes for the one with the like highest amount of HP.
Yeah. There was only one T-34 that was, you know, a threat, and one T-34 against a Command Panther is not a threat. So he just went too deep. He went in for something that he didn't need to. Something unit is just so expensive now when it's a call-in without having that Tier 4 requirement. Still isn't over just yet, and this could be another T-34 going down. The tag team, bro. Oh, he surrenders. Oh, what? Well, he surrenders just as he kills it. But that was GG anyway. It's a nice game. I think Quicksilver played that very, very well. But like, man, like since we've already broken our conventions of PG-13, snipers in Coh2 are cancer. I hate snipers so much.
I want to add like a thing to this where because I think Isildur actually played very well throughout the majority of the game. Like, I think his control was pretty good. His decision-making seemed to be pretty solid as well, except when it came to the use of the vehicles. Because, I mean, if we looked at the way he used the Panzer II, the Lukes, it was really solid, really efficient. He always kept that alive. Like, he got that, like, veterancy 4. Why didn't he do the same thing with the Command Panther? Did he overestimate its fighting strength? Or, like, what was the deal here, man? Because it would just seem so nonsensical to drive it in like that, unsupported. I know we keep coming back to this decision, like harping on it, but it was just like so decisive in this game. You know, I think he could have closed it out if he retained the Command Panther, but then losing it, you know, he gave his opponent a chance to come back in and then eventually end up closing things out, I guess.
Yeah, that and the sniper, 93 kills. That is a ridiculous amount of manpower. That's almost probably is 3,000 manpower, depending on how much the Stim Pioneers are. So effectively, yeah, 3,000 manpower on the sniper. And not only is it the sheer manpower, it's also the fact that it just instantly drops models. So the moment that the Volks try to fight, then they drop a model and they no longer can trade versus the penals. So really, for most of that game, Isildur just couldn't get winning engagements with his Volks because of the sniper. He needed to try and play around his Panzer II, and he did, and he was doing well in that regard. But once the Panzer II went down, he lost his tanks. He just couldn't ever win with his Volks against the sniper, and it makes it so passive. That's why I don't like the sniper, is because you can't extend, you can't have little skirmishes, you can't try and find some plays. You have to basically sit back and camp passively, wait up until you have, you know, the forces that you need and go for some big push. So it really discourages you from trying to be aggressive. And then you can't really split up your forces to, say, cap the north, because there could be demos on the points you don't know, so you have to blob with your Stern Pioneer sweepers. So it puts you in a really hard spot when you're caught between, you know, sniper, that's Vet 3, you've got demos. It's a bit rough, but either way, I think it was a good showcase for the full balance preview. I think it's definitely a great patch. A mod, I should say. It's not an official patch yet.
I feel as though, like, the more time passes, like, the better things they're getting with Company of Heroes for this year, to say the least. Like, Winter Balance patch, I think, was pretty great, and then now this one coming up, feeling a lot more positive about this one than previous iterations.
Yeah, and the reason why Coh2 is getting a lot better now is because we aren't getting any more really cheesy OP pay-to-win commanders and all factions. Whereas for a long period of time, it's like, you know, Relic were doing really good patches, fixing a lot of problems, but as quickly as they were fixing problems, they were releasing things like, the OP factions, and they released those OP commanders like the Pershing and the Brit commander. Whereas now that they're not working on any more content, there's no more commanders, there's no more factions. Now they actually can balance the game if they keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's going to be it, right? Wrapping things up.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining me, Tenchi. It's always an honor and a privilege to cast with you. Tenchi does have a YouTube channel now. He's trying to get his YouTube channel started. So I'll leave a link for his channel in the description. You should follow him on Twitch as well. He streams very frequently. StarCraft, Company of Heroes, PUBG, Counter-Strike. He's a man of many talents and a man of lots of esports. So hopefully you check him out if you haven't done so already. Good friend of mine, and yeah, I'm sure you'll see him again at some point on the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.